company around 1900. My father said that they brought this big marker in about 1937, and Yoder Tipton Station, which is roughly there where you turn off onto Yoder Tipton Road, and then they brought it by sled up here, and I'm not sure how they got it over this fence, but they got it over the fence and set this, and so we kept it. And the Spencer County people came out and cleaned the stones a year or so ago, and so it's been kept up. But John mentioned Wolf Run and such, but when I was growing up here, we had a small bridge there right where the rock fence starts, and they had where the other little creek comes in there down here. That was a wash, and so you know, I'll see if the creek doesn't rise was true, because get much water, you couldn't get over that bridge or this wash here, and so obviously they've built that up over the years, and essentially we had to get to Taylorsville, you had a one-lane gravel road that ran along here to the left of the railroad, and it was one lane, and then the other was a one-lane road that went straight up the hill there past the Cottons to 55. So telephone service, when I was growing up, our original phone was 38W. So it gives you an idea of how long it connected you to Taylorsville switchboard, you know, with the old plugs and such. And it was a one wire telephone, and you had to maintain your own wire. So periodically after a storm, they'd have to walk the line and see where it had gone. And we were lucky, we had only a two-party line. So we were with the Harrises, and he was the postmaster here for years, and if you recall, at that time the postmaster was probably the most political office around, because they were responsible for hiring a lot of people. So the postmaster was a big situation. So we shared a line with the Harrises, but some people had an 8-party line. So that was, you know, if you with communication now, it's different, but you know, you had a ring for each line. So I think we were one short and one long, if I remember right. But the rock fence that you came by coming up, that was built by my father back in the 20s and 30s. And so they built all that rock fence down to the road, and over the years it's filled in behind it and kind of pushed it over, and Sean's been working on restoring a lot of that, and has done a magnificent job in restoring the situation. But you know, going back to some of the stories that I was told, Jacob Yoder supposedly, while at Valley Forge, was working over a fire and couldn't get it going, and there was lots of smoke and everything. And somebody came in behind him and asked how things were going, and he grumbled there's most smoke and no fire, and the story goes it was George Washington. No way to verify it, but it was always a story in the family. So when my father would have been 16 or so when moved here with his father in 1900, and at the time he said when they moved in here there were animals kept in the parlor. So the house at that point had gone down some, and my father was besides being a first-rate farmer, was a great woodworker. So he built a lot of, during the winter when you weren't farming, he would build 1 or 2 chairs, benches each year. There's some pictures in the book that Chris had out, and it was all handmade. He basically, tools with a chisel and an axe and a sharp knife and broken glass that you would use to shave down spokes for the furniture. One of the Windsor chairs had 6, 7 spokes in the back, and I don't know who had done it, but at some point people had leaned back and broken a couple of them, so I managed to get them out and get a good piece of oak and some broken glass, and reproduced them so you can't tell them now, and they're in our house. And so I don't know how many of the chairs he made, because he gave some to his brother Joe, who I'm named for, the uncles, because they had 8 children, and railroads had kind of a bad situation. You heard about killing one railroad accident, and one of the uncles was killed on a railroad while attending Center College. Another died here in the house of diphtheria. So out of the 8 children, my father and Uncle Joe and Aunt Pauline were the only 3 that survived well into adulthood. So the farm is, father won the Master Pastorman for, I think, 1958. So he was a great believer in fertilizer, and at that point there was a company called Agrico that later became U.S. Steel, but they would order a carload of fertilizer and it would be delivered here at Yoder-Tipton Station. And I can remember riding the train which ran from Shelbyville to Bardstown, and that was an outing. You took the train and caught it over to Bardstown and back. So the school class, we had school classes that took the train, and when it was abandoned, when you came in just before you made the turn, coming out to the left, there's a field there, and the railroad ran up along the base of the hill there, and so when they cut the road through, that part was cut off. It was kind of interesting because that road was put in a couple of years after Father died, and so I'm working with taxes with the federal, trying to keep the value down, and I'm negotiating with Kentucky over the confiscation of the eminent domain, or I called it confiscation.
It was a confiscation.
But eminent domain to value the land. So I was trying to make sure the Kentucky people didn't talk to the federal people. And I put a lot of damage into the severance rather than the acreage. And when the railroad went out, that part of it reverted back to us. And actually, the deed for the school there on the hill where I went to school there had a reversion clause that it was ever not used by for school. It reverted to the Yoder descendant. Kentucky has since declared that unconstitutional, so it's safe from reversion at this point. But you know, when growing up, they had put in electricity and water in the 30s, and there was a cistern at the front of the house and the back, and you could switch from one to the other as they ran dry. And there was a big tank in the basement of the house, you pump, and so you pump it up, water would come up in the this big tank. I think it was probably 700 gallons or so. but the top of it was air, and so in the morning you'd pump it up to, I don't know, 100 pounds or something, and then you had running water all day. And also put in a bathroom, but we still had a 2-hole privy out by the what was then a log cabin. And actually, that my understanding was that log cabin was where the family lived while they were building the house. The house took about 2 years to build. The brick were taken out of the basement and Coral Hill. Yeah, I can remember early on, there was some, as you pulled up the driveway and came into the house through the driveway there were several stone little foundations there, and that's where the slave cabins were. But my understanding was that the log cabin there was used by the family to live in while the house was being built. But so all that was, where we walked along here was a peach orchard and apple orchard and beehives. So that was kept up. And at the back of the house, you'll see what, I guess one pecan tree that's still there. There were originally 6 of those big pecan trees along the back there. They were planted when the house was built. And you see the stone house that's been badly damaged, and big storm, you know, it must have been 50s. One of those big pecan trees centered it. So that was the damage to the stone house there. And they've been down, I know there's one remaining. I'm not.
So here's the update on that. That one came down last year.
Okay, so it's gone.
It's gone, but it's not all gone. We're going to head up to the cabin and you'll see what we're doing with the pecan tree.
Okay.